Hello and welcome. You're watching the News Unlock, the show that goes beyond the headlines to the real story. There's always been a divide in this country, in particular between the rich and the poor. Income divides are seemingly permanent in our system, even for something as basic as education. But the COVID pandemic and the restrictions that have come with it have only made matters worse. Education has moved online in schools and several colleges, but for those who cannot afford the basic means required for this mode of study, it is becoming a real stress, leading to some even contemplating suicide. The case of Aishwarya Reddy, a student of the prestigious Lady Shri Ram College in the national capital, is one that has sent shockwaves. The story of a student who ended her life because of a double whammy. Today we'll focus on just what are the lessons from the story of Aishwarya Reddy and indeed the growing digital divide, a story that should concern each and every one of us. Let's first take a look at Aishwarya Reddy's story.
While falling sick due to COVID-19 is the biggest worry, the economic impact of the pandemic is equally severe. And so at times, COVID can even kill without infection, especially those from the economically weaker sections of society. 19-year-old Aishwarya Reddy, a topper of Lady Shri Ram College of Delhi University, died by suicide. And a suicide note read, "Can't live because I can't study." Aishwarya came from Telangana. The family income had taken a beating due to the pandemic, and when education went digital only, she was unable to afford a laptop.
She was also given a free ship. Scholarship, we couldn't have given it to her because she was taking that inspired scholarship, though we didn't know about it. She was also usually the first one to pay the fees, etc. The teachers, maybe the teachers also could never make out.
The LHR administration is outrightly lying just to make their face better in front of the media and the larger public. The thing is, from August onwards, all the classes and departments have been mailing to their HODs on the concerns of digital divide.
Aishwarya is not the only one. The digital divide is growing, and many others are also losing hope to study further because of the pandemic-induced financial crisis.
हम बात करें अगर नेट की, वो भी नहीं होने वाला. बात करें डिवाइसेस की, वो भी हमें नहीं मिलने वाली. हमें ऐसे ही स्ट्रगल करना पड़ेगा. तो ऐसा लगता है कि कई बार बोझ हो जा रहा है. अब हमारे लिए पढ़ाई बर्डन हो गई है.
Ambedkar universities abruptly, after third year, the PhD students have stopped receiving their funds. So, which means fourth year students have stopped receiving these funds in the middle of the pandemic. All our support systems have fallen down, and she does not want to be a burden anymore. We don't want to be a burden on our family and our loved ones and our friends. After a point, we feel like our life, we being alive and surviving, becomes a burden on other people that who we love and who we consider as family. So, taking our life just seems like a better option.
Action.
Lakhs of students echoed the sentiment and massive protests erupted across the country after the student from Lady Shri Ram College for Women died by suicide due to not being able to study properly. Now Delhi University and other colleges and universities are coming up with solutions to tackle the problem of digital divide and the financial crisis due to the COVID lockdown. But the question is, why were the authorities waiting for such an unfortunate incident to happen for them to even acknowledge the problem?
That was Tanushri there reporting. Now, earlier, one of my colleagues spoke to Aishwarya's father, and we started by asking him whether or not basic facilities like a laptop were provided to Aishwarya or not. Listen in to what he had to say.
पढ़ने के लिए प्रॉब्लम है, मेरा लैपटॉप होना बोल के बोले थे, और एक पढ़ाई में थोड़ा ज़्यादा मार्क्स आए तो मेरे को स्कॉलरशिप आता बोल के बोला.
श्रीनिवास जी, आपको क्या लगता है ऐश्वर्या ने ऐसा कदम क्यों उठाया?
मैं कमाने का लॉकडाउन से मेरा काम नहीं चल रहा था, वो देख लिया उन्होंने. और क्या हो बोलो तो यहाँ देखने वाला कुछ भी नहीं था। मैं कैसा करूं, क्या हुआ? इन लोगों मेरे को 2000 रुपए देने के लिए जितना तड़पा रहा, बाद में कैसा करता बोल के वो ट्रस्ट में आ गया मैडम। उससे बगैर कुछ भी नहीं। वो मरते वक्त भी वही लिख लिया, मेरे बहन को नहीं पढ़ाया मगर मेरे को पढ़ा रहा, मगर अब वो इन लोग पूरा घर में, पत्नी भी बोला घर भी भेज दे के तेरे को पढ़ाई करा तुम बोल के बोला। वो प्रॉब्लम में आ गया उन्होंने, कुछ भी सोचा नहीं। एक बात सोच लिया तो अच्छा था मैं उन्होंने।
आपके क्या सपने थे ऐश्वर्या? आपके क्या सपने थे ऐश्वर्या के लिए? किसी ने आपकी कोई हेल्प की इतने दिनों से?
मेरे बेटी मर गया मैडम। बस मेरे बेटी के सर का बहुत बेटियां हैं मैडम। ये गवर्नमेंट एक लोग तो भी आके पूछने वाला भी नहीं मैडम। सेंट्रल से भी स्टेट से भी आ रहा, पूछ रहा, जा रहा होता है। हम लोग वही सोच रहे, सब लोग क्या सोचते वो तो बच्ची मर गया, पैसे पैसे पैसे, लोग पैसे नहीं मैडम, पैसे के लिए नहीं, बच्ची मर गया मैडम। वो
मेरी बच्ची की तरह बहुत और बच्चियां हैं। Let's take that forward, that interview recorded earlier by my colleague, to look at how Aishwarya's sudden decision to end life may not become an exception, because in COVID times, in lockdown times, the digital divide has widened. In different parts of the country, students who do not have laptops, smartphones, or reliable connectivity and the means to join classes digitally are under extreme pressure. Some, like Aishwarya, may have taken the extreme step, but many others are facing a bleak future and being forced in some instances to even drop out of college. Take a look.
200 kilometers from Chennai, at the small town of Ulundurpet, Nityashree's family is struggling to come to terms with her untimely death. Eldest of three sisters, Nityashree was a second-year BSc nursing student. The three sisters were forced to take online classes when the pandemic shut down educational institutions. But they had a problem between the three of their separate classes because the marginal farming family could not afford more than one handset. The family says this was the main reason why a frustrated Nityashree on the last day of August chose death by suicide.
தங்கச்சி வீட்டில் அப்போ பிரச்சனை திட்டினதுனால லேண்ட் கிளாஸ் படிக்க முடியாத ஒரு காரணத்தினால லேண்டில் ஒழுங்காக படிக்க முடியல, 3 பேர் சேர்ந்து படிக்க முடியலன்றதுனால வீட்டில் அப்பா திட்டினாரு. அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ணி படிங்கம்மான்னு சொன்னதுக்கு இதுக்காக இப்படி ஒரு தப்பான முடிவுக்கு போயிட்டா. யார் எங்களால் ரொம்ப மிஸ் பண்ணுறது, ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருக்கு.
More than 2.5 months later, not much has changed for students pursuing higher education or school curriculum. Closer to the Kerala border and more than 500 kilometers from Chennai, in and around Pollachi and Valappurai region in Coimbatore district, there are nearly 20 tribal settlements. Most students in these tribal areas don't have access to smartphones or a television set to attend online classes.
கரண்ட் இல்லை, டிவியில் நடத்துகிறாங்கன்னா டிவி பார்க்கறதுக்கு முடியறதில்ல. அதனால் இதே காலாண்டு அரையாண்டு எப்படி எழுத போகிறேன்னு தெரியல.
அரசாங்கம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா செல்ஃபோனில் வந்து டிவி மூலிமா வந்து கல்வித்தரன்னு சொல்லிட்டு கல்வி டிவின்னு சொல்லி ஒன்று ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்காங்க. அந்த கிராமத்தில் வந்து மின்சாரமும் கிடையாது, டிவியும் கிடையாது. அப்படி இருக்கும் பட்சத்தில் வந்து மாணவர்களோட கல்வி கற்கிறதுக்கு ரொம்ப சிரமமாக இருக்குது. உடனடியாக வந்து அரசாங்கம் வந்து ஒரு சிறப்பு ஆசிரியர் நியமித்து கொடுத்து அப்படி இருக்கிற அனைத்து கிராமத்துக்கும் வந்து கல்வியை கொண்டு போய் சேர்க்கணும்னு கேட்டுக்கிறோம்.
Most parents in these tribal communities are farm laborers or daily wage earners. The lockdown has hit them hard. Ravi Puri in Hingoli district of Maharashtra aspired to join the Maharashtra Public Service Commission. He had to give up his studies due to lockdown, and these days he's busy working in farms to earn a living.
पिताजी को मदद मिलनी चाहिए काम में, इसलिए मैं भी खेत का काम कर रहा था. इसलिए मेरे काम करने से घर को भी थोड़ा 2-4 पैसा मिलने की वजह से मेरा भी घर खर्चा निकलेगा और उससे मेरे घर खर्चा निकलने के बाद मेरा घर का गुजारन हो जाएगा और घर का गुजारन हो जाएगा. इसलिए मैंने पढ़ाई रोकी साहब.
In a time when these families are struggling for a square meal a day, education, that too online, is turning out not to be a challenge but a luxury.
Education turning out to be a luxury. Dr. Meenu Madlani, Principal Hinduja College with us. Neeraj Kundan, National President of the NSUI with us. And Dhruv Jati is a student activist from Karnataka who's joining us. I want to come to you first, Dr. Meenu Madlani. Is there an awareness among the higher education community, among teachers, principals, administrations of the degree of difficulty that students from economically weaker sections are facing because of the digital divide? Is there at least that understanding, the empathy?
Yes, we are very, very sensitive to, and we really understand. We academicians, principals, we all are concerned about education, and we try to see that we offer a blend of offline and online learning. So we are really sensitive about these issues, and we are doing a lot for the students who are deprived from online learning.
No, but give me an example, because the fact is in colleges across the country, many of them have not opened, and many students, like in the case of Aishwarya, have suffered. She took the extreme step. But give me an example of what exactly, give me examples of what colleges are doing. Because what students are complaining is that colleges are not doing enough. Even hostel fees, they're being forced to pay. Scholarships are not coming on time. PhD students complain they don't get their stipends on time. Is there something wrong in the system?
No, I would like to share with you that first of all colleges affiliated to University of Mumbai and Hinduja College, we are providing installment facilities to students. A number of students are helped through scholarships. And regarding learning and teaching, what we do is we have offline also. That means we are sending notes via email to students. We try and provide e-books to students. Our teachers, our faculty are really working very hard. And what they do is they provide a number of notes, objective type of questions, and they try to motivate the students to learn. Moreover, we even have some sort of peer learning process wherein, motivated few students who are really very good at studies, they form small group and they try to study and discuss the learning process. So that is how we are trying to see that no students are being deprived of learning. Okay. That is why we are trying to help the students.
Neeraj Kundan,
Neeraj
Kundan, you're National President NSUI. You want to respond to what you heard? Are colleges doing enough? Why is it that student bodies like NSUI and others are now protesting over this? What you're saying is the neglect by colleges of the concerns of economically weaker students.
Definitely, sir. From the very first day, the NSUI, as the COVID came into the existence, we are demanding that at least the colleges and universities should waive off the 6-month fees of the students. And from that day only, the scholarship of the students are stuck. And मैं आपको ये भी बताना चाहता हूँ कि 20 लाख करोड़ जो है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने जो है अनाउंस किया था कोविड के समय में, उसमें से not a single 1 rupee penny was allotted to the student fraternity.
पर आप चाहते हैं कि सारे फीस वेव हो जाए. आप कह रहे हैं 6 महीने के फीस सभी स्टूडेंट्स के लिए वेव हो जाए.
Yes sir, why not? अभी भी सरकार अगर 20 लाख करोड़ जो है सेंट्रा विस्ता जैसे प्रोजेक्ट्स में लगा सकती है. आज अगर मेरे घर है, अगर मेरे घर में आज कमाने के लिए पैसे हैं, मेरे पास थोड़े से पैसे हैं, तो मैं पहले अपने बच्चे की स्टडीज पूरी कराऊंगा, ना कि मैं अपनी डबल स्टोरी या ट्रिपल स्टोरी बनाऊंगा. वही सरकार आज कर रही है. स्टूडेंट्स के वेलफेयर पे पैसे ना खर्च के अभी भी सेंट्रल विस्ता जैसे 20 लाख करोड़ जो है वो वहां पे खर्च सकते हैं. 800 करोड़ का प्रधानमंत्री जी अगर हमारा जहाज ला सकते हैं, तो स्टूडेंट्स फर्टिलिटी के लिए वेव ऑफ क्यों नहीं कर सकते हैं फीस? इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल थिंग टू डू. और उससे इनकी सीरियसनेस सर पता चलती है कि जब 20 लाख करोड़ सरकार कोविड के समय में अनाउंस करती है कि एक बहुत बड़ा पैकेज अनाउंस करती है रिलीफ के लिए, उस 20 लाख करोड़ में से एक यंग इंडिया जिस कंट्री में हम रहते हैं उसके लिए सिंगल 1 रुपी पेनी भी नहीं था.
तो आप you want a special package that will ensure that students do not have to pay fees for the last 6 months. It's an interesting concept.
Definitely. Definitely we want this because this COVID has affected many middle class family और middle class से भी नीचे रहने वाले जितने भी हमारे पुअर लोग हैं, उनको बड़ी गहरी तरीके से इसको हिट किया है. तो उनकी बच्चों की स्टडीज पूरी हो, उसका एक ही इलाज है कि कम से कम 6 महीने की जो फीस है वो वेव ऑफ कर दी जाए। और सरकार को सोचना चाहिए कि सेंट्रल विस्टा जैसे जो प्रोजेक्ट्स में आपको फिर से रिपीट कर रहा हूं,
आप बार बार कह रहे हैं कि सेंट्रल विस्टा प्रोजेक्ट के बजाय जो पैसा खर्च हो रहा है स्टूडेंट्स के फीस वेव हो जाए, ये आपकी राय है। ध्रुव जाटी, you are a student activist from Karnataka. Now Karnataka has opened its colleges. It's one of the few states which has gone ahead and opening up of colleges. Other states are doing it much more cautiously. Has that helped? The fact that colleges are now opening, meaning you don't have to only depend on online education, don't have to learn through laptops. Is that helping bridge the digital divide?
Rajdeep, sir, I would like to start with an example. So, while students in urban Bangalore are worried about quality education, rural Karnataka is worried about receiving education in the first place. So this defines your clear cut of, what you would say the digital divide. I would like to say the reopening of colleges specifically in the blended format, which I personally written to the education minister and asked him to, consider, is because you see districts such as Koppal, Gadag, Bidar have less than 100 active cases. And students over here really require schooling because schooling is a very important part of our social construct. So I would like to say that this move is surely going to benefit the rural Karnataka, and the fact that it is a blended move will surely come out to be an example for the rest of India.
Now, what do you mean by a blended concept? What exactly do you mean by a blended concept of education?
So the blended concept basically means that students have the option to opt for either going online or offline. Like, many parents would be hesitant to send students to the colleges. At the same time, there are many students who wish to go as well. So this allows what I would say flexibility. And this gives students, parents, and educational institutes more comfort with regard to the whole education process. And that's looking at it from the urban lens. But if we look at it from the rural lens, students over here have been missing out on education for months together. So now this specific bridge that has come in between will surely, connect the students back to what I would say a very much required education system that should continue. Education must never stop.
Dr. Meenu Madlani, the reality is, while I appreciate that you're saying you're making efforts to ensure that the digital divide is bridged, the reality is that the divide has sharpened. If in a college like LSR, a girl, one of India's leading colleges, a girl commits suicide because she can't afford the laptop that she so urgently needed, was one of the concerns that she had. Clearly, there is a problem. I mean, the question is, how much can colleges do at the moment to soften the blow? You're hearing from the students' union leader who says 6 months fees should be waived. So effectively, waive fees from July to December. Is that practical? Is that feasible?
You had just said that there is some package announced. But
no, he wants a package to be announced. He wants a package. He wants the government to subsidize colleges so that no fees are charged from July to December.
Yes, because what happens is that our faculty visiting as well as the regular faculty members, the non-teaching staff, everybody is working. So what happens is that if some package comes, maybe we can help them. But as of today, there is no such package, and we have to rely on the nominal fees that we are charging. And all the aided
colleges. Are you charging a nominal fee, or are you charging the same fee that you charged in pre-COVID times? I mean, one of the complaints that students are telling me is that they are having to pay the same hostel fee today that they were having to also pay in pre-COVID times.
We don't have a hostel, but some colleges have waived off partly hostel fees, like giving them 30%, 20% off that they have done. And otherwise, we charge the nominal tuition fees and the other, related fees, because we are all aided colleges.
What about laptops? What about those students who need laptops for their online education?
No, if they do not have laptop, we have told you can study on phone also. Plus, it's a blend of offline and online. So what we are doing is we are even sending material. We send material via email to students so that they can study. even notes teachers are sending to students. So it is not just that they have to attend lectures. It is that they can prepare it even without coming online. That is what we are trying and helping the students.
नीरज कुंदन, क्या आप मानते हैं कि ये केवल कई कॉलेजेस हैं अपनी कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जैसे आज हिंदुजा कॉलेज कह रहा है अपनी तरफ से कोशिश कर रहे हैं, दे आर ऑल मेकिंग एन अटेम्प्ट. It's not an easy situation even for college administrations to deal with this digital divide.
सर,
Because we are not prepared, ना?
Yes, नीरज.
सर, इसमें मैं आपकी बात से कहीं सहमत हूँ कि इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं कि कॉलेजेस अपनी तरफ से कोशिश कर रहे हैं. लास्ट में कॉलेजेस को भी टीचर्स की फीस देनी है, उनको लेक्चरर्स की फीस देनी है. इसमें जब तक सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट प्रोएक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट नहीं करेगी और उनको ये इशू इतना बड़ा जेन्युइन नहीं मिलेगा, तब तक इसका कोई हल नहीं.
हर राज्य सरकार कर सकती है, केवल सेंटर नहीं, हर राज्य सरकार ये कर सकती है. एवरी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कैन डू इट, वेदर इट्स कांग्रेस और बीजेपी.
Yes, sir. Across the party line, I'm saying that whether that's a state government or it's a central government, जब तक सरकारें इसमें इन्वॉल्व नहीं होंगी, सरकारों की तरफ से पैकेजेस नहीं दिए जाएंगे, तब तक ये इसी तरीके से रहेगा. मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा, ICMR, इंडियन काउंसिल मेडिकल रिसर्च के जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो कोविड के ऊपर रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, उन्हीं की स्कॉलरशिप भी रुकी पड़ी है. आप बाकी चीजें तो छोड़ें इस टाइम पे. और मुझे लगता है कि इस टाइम पे पर्टिकुलर सरकार को स्टूडेंट्स की वेलफेयर के लिए काम करने चाहिए, और जो बाकी उनके अदर लग्जरियस प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं उनको हम कुछ देर के लिए जो है वो रोक सकते हैं.
I think you make a good point about priorities. Clearly education should be top priority in a way at times like this. Dhruv Jati, you want to make a final point. Go ahead, Dhruv.
Yes, Rajdeep sir. So I wholeheartedly agree with Neeraj ji. Just to reiterate his point in a more practical manner, colleges should cut down on the infrastructural fee, which gives the families a bit more lenience when it comes towards paying the fee of the students. And with regard to creating more welfare schemes for students, Neeraj ji is spot on. This must surely be taken into consideration, as education for a whole year almost has been stalled.
I take all your points. We decided to focus on this because these are the issues that are getting lost in the noise of news. Just think about it. A girl who is the dream of her family, the aspirational dream that we keep talking about, goes from a small town in Telangana, comes to one of the country's leading colleges, eventually finds herself in a position where, because she comes from an economically weaker section of society, she can't afford a laptop. Her father, who's a auto driver, is under pressure, auto mechanic, is under pressure. Eventually she commits suicide. That was an extreme step taken, and it shouldn't have required a step like this for us to continuously focus on the issue of the digital divide. It's there staring at us in the face. We need to simply reset our priorities. Education of our young must take priority in COVID times. I want to thank all of you, and I really hope that this might become an issue which will resonate with the students and indeed the entire academic fraternity. That's it on the News Unlocked. Our purpose on this show is always to show you the real stories that matter. The news without the noise. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.